inside me. I'm finally free, and there's a thrill inside me. I'm finally free, and there's a thrill inside me. I'm finally free, and there's a thrill inside me. For the first time I drove through the lights and wait till they turn green. I was so tired, I was a broken bird, never exercised my wings. I'm finally free, and I'm moving to the big city. I'm finally free, and I'm moving to the big city. I'm finally free, and I'm moving to the big city. I'm finally free, and I'm moving to the big city. For the first time, I got lost in the fog of a million broken dreams. I was so tired, I was a reckless deer, couldn't see those highway beams. I'm finally free, and there's no stopping me. 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 I'm finally free, but so hard to move accordingly. Small town mind and what it means. Finally free, but so hard to face the reality, city life, and what to breathe. I'm finally free, but I wonder if I'm happy. I'm finally free, but I wonder if I'm happy. I'm finally free, but I wonder if I'm happy. I'm finally free, but I wonder if I'm happy. I'm finally free, but I wonder if I'm happy. I'm finally free, and I wonder if I'm happy. I'm finally free, but I wonder if I'm happy. Finally free, but I wonder if I'm happy. Thank you.
Yeah.
The very dramatic ending. The dramatic ending.
Let the song end, man. So, welcome, my friend.
I'm dead. Thank you so much for having me. How exciting. What guest am I? Am I number 3?
5.
Number 5. High five, everyone watching.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Yeah.
That is not.
No, it's done.
It's.
Now it's done. Now you're gonna hear, but you need the headphones to hear yourself.
Oh, I can't. Oh, I see.
Because we closed the PA. So, yeah, we're getting ready.
Oh, yes. Okay, hold on.
And
Getting set up with the tech. All right, there we go. I think.
Denique,
Yes.
how
Damn.
long did it take you to write this song? Which is an amazing song, which is called I'm Finally Free.
Thank you so much. Ah, wow. Finally free. So I actually wrote it when I was at one of the lowest points of my life. How cliche. How cliche of an artist thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, essentially I was working in Montreal. This is 2017, so I'll take you guys back to good old Montreal. I had just moved to the city. I had no money, no job. I was looking for prospects in the city, and I ended up getting a job at this Ferris wheel downtown. But I thought I was going to be a server, and the people at this Ferris wheel, my managers, had basically told me that the restaurant wasn't ready by the time I got there. It was a new operation, and so I ended up becoming a Ferris wheel attendant, so letting people on the ride. And it was around the same time that I finished my first album, and it was so wild to me because I had this high from writing music and finishing this body of work, but then, this kind of humbling experience of going to work every day at a Ferris wheel.
Yeah.
And just feeling like I had no direction in the city. And so I would stand on this Ferris wheel platform and I would stare at basically the city skyline of Montreal. And I just always thought, why am I not in those buildings? Why am I the attendant here? And why have I never had the chance to, say, work in those places? Or why wasn't I able to, to just sort of free myself in my life and be financially independent and to do that. And so I remember thinking that moving to Montreal would be this freedom, that I'd be finally free.
Yeah.
And basically I sat on a platform thinking like, oh, I'm finally free, but this is my life. And it wasn't what I expected. It wasn't the fairy tale of moving to that city. And so finally free was birthed from that idea of just being like on this Ferris wheel, almost metaphorically, like you're in a Ferris wheel of life, and it just keeps circling. And so at the end of the song, I say, I'm finally free, but I wonder if I'm happy.
Exactly.
And that was me moving to Montreal and realizing that it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And then I was left.
I relate to it a lot, to freedom, and the question of whether freedom is the real goal of happiness, because we all, especially these days, especially our culture is so much craving for freedom, but it's a double-edged sword, and it's, you could be free. I've been extremely free in my life. No home, no job, no family, and I don't know and I'm wondering if I was happy then. You understand? And so I really relate to this, and I think we are a complicated creature. We have the longing for freedom, of course, when you're an artist. But
Absolutely.
we need to. So how do you deal with frame? Congratulations for your new job. You took a frame here in Hamburg. So
thank you. Yeah. I mean, I think freedom is obviously crucial in the times right now where the world is crazy. The world is fucking insane. I think that there's so much happening. We're all getting up in the morning and we're going to work, or we're doing laundry, or we're helping the kids, or we're aspiring to the next thing. But I think we've all forgotten that the world is really changing so quickly, and that the things that have happened in the last 3 years have been so tremendous in our lives, and have like completely changed the trajectory of our
life, for me, it's important to say, without in our life, in our Western life, capitalistic life, because just to mention, do you know what happens especially in the world every year?
Tell me.
80 million people are being born every year, at least, probably more this time, 100 million.
It's a lot of people.
So think about you and me in our little world, our little shitty bubble world.
We're absolutely all stuck in our own minds, right?
Yeah,
but that's all we have. This is the cage we've been put on since birth.
This is true.
So I think it's important. Of course, everything's relative to where you are and where you live and what your circumstances are. But we have the idea of freedom has changed over time. We have more limitations in the world now, and I think that freedom for me is always, it sounds cliche, but freedom is definitely a mindset. And I always just thought that no matter what my title, my job, my profession, my relationship status, my sexuality, all of these things, that no matter what I decided to do in my life, that the freedom would be the leading focus, where I just allowed myself, I gave myself the permission to do the shit that I wanted to do in my life, because I realized that if I wasn't getting up in the morning and believing in that and giving myself the permission to achieve the things that I wanted to achieve, I would never achieve anything. And it's really, I think the common misconception, at least, me being from Canada, in the North American sphere, I think people think of this freedom American dream life as this like fun, working hard and just achieving your dreams. And I think that while, yeah, you have to work hard, it's like the path to freedom is a challenging one because you're always fighting. You're waking up with boxing gloves every morning, and it's a constant fight. The second you stop fighting for freedom, you've already lost. You're like sitting in your bed staring at the wall wondering, where did my life go? And I've had those moments. But then I get up again and change
when
it.
you were born into the Western capitalistic world, there's an unsigned contract that you've done as soon as you were born that you're gonna serve the system, and it's gonna give you money for rent and money for maybe for a beer and maybe for a vacation, and that's the deal. And you're gonna work your ass off, and even if you're gonna get rich, that's the other point. Nobody said that you're gonna be free at that time. That's another thing that we're gonna touch it because you became financially free with getting a very huge grant for your music, but what you told me about it is very interesting also. We're gonna get there, but before that, now I forgot what I wanted to say.
Let's talk about the weather, guys.
Yeah.
It's quite rainy in Hamburg. It's really, really stormy today. Hopefully summertime's gonna be soon.
So
I think that my freedom essentially, I think that my freedom definitely stems from this inherent need to like be challenging myself, and I think that the feeling of being challenged in all of your in all of the things you do in your life is like the utmost most important thing. And so for me, I like to take a lot of risks. I think for me, like taking risks in. We're good. Technical difficulties.
I'm an ADHD. I'm like, okay, can you guys at home hear out loud enough? Can you guys hear out loud enough? And if yes, just send us fucking money. Send us your money. We need money.
Like,
we
comment,
are
and subscribe.
Artist. Yeah, no, we have like now it's written that they should
but
join the Patreon or PayPal, whatever.
But are we actually struggling though? I don't know, because we're here doing this, and I think that you're not struggling if you're doing it, guys. If you want to do anything in your life, if you're even taking one or two steps, you're still doing it. You're still succeeding. It's not.
It's true.
There's no.
You know what?
There's no struggle.
It could be very much the very interesting meeting between you and me. I'm a struggler. I was born like I'm Jew. It's like I need to struggle. If I don't struggle, I don't live. I don't feel alive.
But do you think that's a headspace, or do you think that's actually the circumstances? Like, do you think that's your objective reality, or is that just how you felt? Because I feel like struggle. Of course, I was born into middle class Canada, so for me, I can talk about one struggle that will be different to another. But do you feel that it's a headspace, or is it an objective reality for you?
Headspace. I was born. That's how I was programmed. That's how I saw my parents. I saw my father, and that's right then. And then I had a very strong urge to achieve something in my life. And very soon I realized that, hey, this is not being served to me with a silver spoon. And so I said, okay, Oded, you are a struggler. You didn't receive it in silver spoon, but you will prove to yourself and to the world that you're gonna make it with the power of will. And nobody can stand in front of your power of will. And it doesn't have to be like this. This is my headspace. And you, for example, bring something else. And I find it, now I remember what I want to say. I find it very interesting, the meeting with us, because I find your attitude about freedom, about saying the truth, about bringing it out there the way you are. For me, it's very inspiring. Yeah. And
thank you.
Yeah, and I've been inspired by people like you, and I find it that it's now again I don't know what to say, so you just speak.
I'm gonna say this. Look, I think that the real truth is that we all parade in our lives expected to do certain things and expect to act a certain way. We're on this podcast now. It's technically performative, so there's an element of like a mask that we're putting on. Like if anyone's listening to this, that we're there's lights on us, so there's like this certain energy we need to convey to get a message across. But at the end of the fucking day, we're all the same. We're all human. We're all gonna die someday, and it's like whatever the hell it is that you want to go after, or whatever if you wake up and you think about things in your lives that you want to do, whether it's a profession or saying the truth to your family member, it's like, guys, we don't have time. We really don't have time. every day that goes by that you don't do the thing that you're supposed to do, or that you're thinking about, or that your mind's pushing you to do, like every day that you don't do that thing, you're just wasting time. And it's like, I think for me, I grew up with a father who is a police officer and a mom who's a flight attendant. So quite literally the two polar opposite professions. But my dad's job allowed us to move around Canada, where I was able to see the country, which, sort of gave me this love for being uncomfortable. Like I just love being in uncomfortable spaces and in new environments and moving around and taking risks and taking chances. And then of course with a flight attendant mother, you're then traveling for 20 euros all over North America. But through these experiences, I feel like I just turned 30 in February. In my young 30 years, I've lived through so many different sorts of circumstances and environments and countries, and the overarching similarity of all the places I've ever been is that people are just always thinking of all these things they want to say, but then they go into the world every single day wearing a mask and like are so edited in what they can and can't do. And you can express yourself this way, but if you're in a business suit, you can't. If you're a classical musician, you have to be this, or if you're a jazz musician, you have to be that. And it's like, if you want to be on radio as an artist, you have to be like this sound, and it has to be 3 minutes perfect. And of course, like we put all these fucking rules and these limitations, and it's like, who creates these rules? Well, we as a culture and society, we keep reinforcing these standards. And so for me, okay, it might be a bit anarchist, and maybe some people might say, well, you're lucky you were born into a certain demographic that allows you to be free, right? But in the context of me in middle class Canada, it allowed me to fully just to make the decision to give myself that permission to do what the hell I want to do.
Sure.
And it doesn't have to follow those rules.
So I have a question.
Ask away.
Being how did they call it, out of the closet gay man, do you think that this fact made you adapt, made you come to those conclusions, what you told me, about being yourself, about being free, about having to do it? Do you think the way you are made you come with this concept? Or do you think you are just a soul, you are an artist, sexual identity, could be straight, could be whatever?
I think it's a good question. I would say that, of course, here's what I'll say. I think that if you're growing up as a gay kid in a primarily straight environment, which is the majority of the case of queer folks, you're already going to be singled out from the get-go. Like my earliest childhood memories is sort of the metaphor of watching all the other boys playing hockey.
Yeah.
And just sitting on the sidelines with the girls, just watching them. Like that's my memory. And kind of watching my father grieve, the child he, the son he may have never had.
Yeah.
And so I think that because I can only speak from my own perspective, right? People might have others, but for me, growing up in that space where I just always could tell that the other men around me were reacting different to me. Like I just was never one of the guys. I was never one of the boys. I didn't know how to, if you put your hand out right now, like I never knew this shit. Like it was not natural to me. Like I'm more like checking their nail color to be like, oh, nice nails. But I never had that feeling of relating to the people of the same gender as me. So I think I had to build up these walls and build up this
walls, but we spoke about freedom and creativity.
Well, this is the funny thing about it, because I feel like I had to build up this crystal palace around me to sort of survive in the world. And that's why I do feel like a lot of my drive and a lot of my
Crystal Palace.
Yeah, Crystal Palace is sort of what
totally protected with a lot of crystal, like very shiny, very out of this world.
Well, that's
like your music. Like this song for me, I relate to it because it takes me out of this world.
Oh, thank you. I think, I think it's funny. I've never actually called it Crystal Palace until right now, but it actually seems like I had to build up this really shiny, perfect thing around everything I was doing creatively, artistically, in school, like how I was to the world. I needed to create this thing because it was such an armor. Because I thought I was never accepted in my childhood, but if I could create this really beautiful universe around me that people would think that, he's a whole other thing. You know, it's spectacular. You know, it's the Burj Khalifa. Like, it's something insane. And yeah, exactly. I didn't want to be just this like kid in the background who was outcast and then outcast in adulthood. And so I think a lot of that.
Yeah, go for it. Sorry.
You know, and I think a lot of that, a lot of that initial experience of,
But you speak about Crystal Palace and you speak about armor and you speak about so there is a pain.
Yeah, of
There
course
was
there's
a
a
pain.
pain. Well, there's a
Can
pain
you-
for
can you
everyone.
of course no. But can you describe me as a kid? Can you try to describe me a peak point of être mal dans sa peau, comme on dit en français. We both speak
Mal dans sa
French, so where
I
you were
thi-
like, oh, this is not where I'm supposed to be, and you didn't even know that. Do you
That-
remember this moment?
Yeah, high school.
High school.
All through high school. Because the thing about high school, what's hilarious is I had all these adults telling me what they thought they thought I would want for my life, and I feel like a lot of times, in my teenage years, I feel like all these adults around me were telling me, you need to do this, you need to focus on this, you need to
Yeah.
go to university, you need to do these things.
Yeah.
And I was actively telling telling teachers and the people around me, I can't, no, it's okay.
I need to turn my mic? Yeah, I will.
We're
okay,
going to turn his mic up. Oded is, am I good? Okay,
yeah,
good.
I'm also
Yeah,
in
let
the
me know if
headphones
it's
here.
like, if I
now,
need to.
everybody is gonna be fine. Okay.
Sorry, guys, I have no focus. If someone's
Hey.
in my peripheral, no, it's okay. I'd rather the people
Hey.
hear it nicely.
Go
I
for
want
it.
you-
Go for the story. Sorry,
I want
Denique.
you people at home to be comfortable. Yeah, I would say, yeah. So for me, we're good. Okay. Yeah.
Are your parents gonna watch this?
I hope not.
Okay.
I
Hope
hope
not.
No, we'll see. I don't know.
I wanted to say that I think your parents did a great job because I know you for a little while.
Almost knocked my teeth
But
out.
I'm gonna say something. I don't feel, thanks God, I don't feel a gram of self-loathing in yourself.
Ah, thank you. That's so
So
sweet.
I think that's for your parents.
Ah, well, that's a really nice compliment, and I think my parents, my father did a really good job at instilling my sister and I that who you are is who you are. Fundamentally, we can try all this American self-help bullshit, but your fundamental core energy is there.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you don't wake up in the morning and advocate for yourself, who the fuck is going to advocate for you?
Yeah.
If you're not the one
Absolutely.
person in your life who wakes up in the morning and says, I'm worth it, I'm capable of doing this shit, who in the world is going to
Absolutely.
who in the world
And
is
you
going
know who
to
was the
advocate
first-
for you if you're not doing it for
And
yourself?
you know who was the champion of this, who I discovered lately?
Who?
So I'm a big fan of Muhammad Ali, but I'm not. It's not Muhammad Ali.
Okay.
Muhammad Ali, the boxer, this
Yeah, of
macho
course.
guy. He had a hero before him that people doesn't know,
Okay.
but I know,
Who is
and that Little Richard. And Little Richard
Mhm.
is Tutti Frutti or Rudy. Little Richie
Mhm.
is a black man
Mhm.
who, together with what his name, the other guy, who was Johnny B. Good, Chuck Berry.
Okay.
They invented rock and roll.
Okay.
But Little Richard,
Mhm.
he was cocky, he was gay, totally out of the closet,
Right, yeah.
and speaking a lot about, I'm so great, I'm fantastic, I brought the Beatles to America, and the Rolling Stones, and Jimi Hendrix were playing,
Mhm, wow.
and he was playing like, and you think,
Crazy.
man, you are in the 50s, you're black, you're gay, you're totally crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And when I watch Muhammad Ali as my hero, and I say, hey, this body language of Muhammad I recognize from Little Richard.
Mhm.
So it's like I'm trying to say maybe something in the reality of you and Little Richard. It pushed you. Man, I need to speak out my voice, my beauty,
Mhm.
my
Mhm.
everything.
Mm. It's interesting. It's like a compliment to hear that. But I would say, I think, look, when you're growing up in rural Canada and you're kind of, not like the other kids, and you have to, escape through different, I escaped through video games. Sailor Moon was my biggest thing. Zelda.
So escaping. There was an element of
Yeah, I think
escaping.
everything I do in my life's an escape. Because I think that,
Because now you're totally happy, totally self-content, but we're speaking about hard feelings, not finding yourself escaping.
I'm escaping. Well, I think the thing is, I'm always giving here's the thing. I'm not escaping from my life, but I'm always giving myself time to escape in my life, if you hear the difference.
Okay.
So in
I
my
understand.
day-to-day life, I can show up to a 9 to 5, I can perform well, and I can be a good employee and be respectful to the people around me. That I can do. But because I give myself time in the evenings, on the train, I'm putting my headphones in on the train and I'm pretending I'm in a movie, fantasizing about whatever's happening, maybe the hot guy in front of me or whatever. Whatever. I'm fantasizing about a lot of shit all the time because I feel like if I'm not fantasizing about things, then really, how's life fun if you're not fantasizing? I mean, I fantasize all the time, and I think that is a form of escape. When you're in the subway and you're in a bus, or you're on a bus, and you see, you're leaving the airport, you're about to see a new country, you're looking at the trees differently than you see, your hometown. I really love those moments of fantasy.
That's also very childish in a good way, if I may
I think
say.
so, yeah. And I guess, maybe that's what it is. Maybe for me, the true escape is I'm allowing myself to be a child and to play. And like, I really love to just play with shit. Like, that sounds really dirty for the people back home. Sorry. that's what he said. But I allow myself to play because I think that in your life, there's going to be tons of adult shit. Like moving to Germany, we can get into that. The bureaucracy here and filling out all that paperwork.
Horrible.
It was really challenging. Honestly, I definitely undervalued how intense that would be, or undersold that. But then when I was doing it, I'm like, holy shit, this is not feeling childish. But I think now that I'm set up and it's been, 2.5 months that I've been in Hamburg and, a year since I left Canada, I was in the UK last year, these adult sort of responsibilities start piling up. Now I'm 30. I still feel very young. I feel like a teenager. But I'm seeing like, okay, yeah, this visa application takes 3 hours and this thing takes 3 hours.
Yeah.
And it's like your days become limited. If you have kids, it's then your schedule has to be this. And then it's like these responsibilities and literal tasks that you can put in Google Calendar. Those are the things that are really making you escape your childhood. Like, it's not this big fucking existential crisis of like why people are miserable at whatever age. It's like, if you don't feel like you have childhood joy in your life, it's literally because you're not scheduling it in or you're not giving yourself the permission to fantasize on those things.
And that connects to a phrase I had from a good friend of mine in Israel. His name is Israel Kimchi. He's a fantastic drummer, and today he's a very in-demand DJ.
Oh, cool.
And we were speaking, and I was always struggling between my inner struggle about discipline and work and fun and music. And then he told me, but he called me Kafri. But Kafri, you need to understand, if there's no fun, all of the other things are not going to happen. And that's very strong.
Absolutely.
And that's well, that's bring us to something you just touched. So you're from North America moving to Germany.
Yes.
A culture where I lived in the UK for 5 years. You lived in the UK for?
I lived in the UK for 1 year. So I left Canada January 2022. And then January 1st this year, I moved to Germany. Yeah. So it's been
So you knew another UK that I knew. But I would say that in North America, in the UK, there is a trace of entertainment and fun is a big part of the culture. Here, culture is a big part of their being. Culture, not entertainment. They're learning to be entertained. They like to be entertained.
You know exactly what you're talking about.
And yeah, go for it.
I want to speak on that because I feel like my biggest observation since moving to Germany, and I've thought a lot about this, on why in Germany is it that, there's not this same feeling of performers and musicians and that sort of thing that, we see in America and the UK. And what it actually boils down to is that German people in general are way more
racist.
That was not what I was going to say. Not what I was saying, people.
No,
that
because
him,
it sounded like it's perfect, man.
German people are, drum roll please, they're very collectivist and not individualistic. So they're not individualists in Germany, and that is the single reason why German people just don't value that pop stardom that they do in the UK, Canada, and America. Because in North America, we are sort of brought up with this idea of the American dream.
Yes.
But what that's actually rooted on is that you, Oded, you're going to go out into the world and you're going to show how amazing you are, and you're going to make your money, and you're going to have a nice family, and you're going to have the hot girlfriend, you're going to have the beautiful children who go to Harvard, and you're going to do... It's very much you,
Yes.
sell you. So when we in North America show up at a show, go to a job interview, whatever, it's like, so this is me here talking to you, and then right now it's like, okay, hi everyone, nice to see you. I'm Denique from Canada. This is like me selling myself
That's
in
the
a job
mask.
interview.
That's the mask.
It's the mask, right? It's this North American thing. And so then you get the musicians coming from there who are brainwashed, who think, okay, well, in order to make it, I need to sell myself. I need to be on the social media. And this is very UK. It's like when look, if we look at a marketing perspective, Canadian, American, and British artists are very much the packaging is very focused on the person. And
And let me tell you something else, totally related. You are living in a country who used to be divided to half liberal Democrat capitalist and half socialist communist. And those traces, for example, my partner, the mother of my kids, Jessica, she is coming from the Emalige DDR, from the old East.
Okay.
Which used to be communist and socialist.
Yeah.
So that means that you are living in a country, well, exactly the opposite of what you described. You understand? When the ego is not such a virtue, it's not such a something to be proud of, maybe contrary, you know?
It's very much that. Before I continue on that point, can we shut this heater off? Sorry.
For sure.
Not to be a bit of a diva, but I'm like, it's
And,
getting hot in here.
And we have the lovely
It's
Carter with us today. And Carter, I would like to ask you, behind this table, I think there is water on the floor.
Let's get some water.
But it's even this, If I didn't win it, it's good.
It's getting hot in here, so take off all your clothes. No, I think living in Germany so far, like it's been 2.5 months, so what do I know? I think that it's been really interesting because I will describe it in some kind of ways as like a death of an ego. Like I realized how big my ego was here. And this isn't, oh, thank you, yeah, I will. I realize in, the 2.5 months that I've been here, like I just have realized that there's just such a big ego when you grow up in North America because you have to sell yourself. It's like you're basically commodifying your spirit and your personality and all these things.
Yeah.
And I just thought there's something really beautiful about the people I've met in Hamburg so far because everyone just seems really, generalization, but the people that I've met in my experience just seem really happy with who they are, and they don't feel the need to flex or to sort of talk about their accomplishments, or there's just it doesn't feel like this CV resume of experiences when you talk to people. And there are obviously, I love my country. Canada's an amazing country, and I encourage everyone to go and to live. It's a really great life. And that's not everyone in Canada who's talking as a resume.
Yeah.
But in Germany, I've just found that it's really refreshing just to talk to people who just don't give a shit about the, how they always say, what glitters isn't gold.
Yeah.
That's the vibe. It's in Germany they don't care about the glitter. They just want to get the solid gold and to know that you can work on a team. And for me, it's like it's a fucking
working on a team. It's a big thing. They know to work on a team amazingly.
They do,
and they also have a huge stream of alternative thinker, because this country have been totally went through everything, like Weimar Republic. National Socialist, Communist, then capitalist,
Yep.
So you have a woman in Dresden who lived maybe under 5 or 6 different regime in her life. If she's 100 years old, she lived under 5 or 6 different regime, you know? And this country has been torn from the inside, and the people, their identity, and so it's a very interesting thing. It's funny that me, coming from Israel, I'm speaking on the behalf of the German people, but I speak on the behalf of every people, and there's no German people or Jewish people or Israeli or Canadian. I'm speaking on behalf of the people. And when I thought about this week, I thought about it that me coming to Germany, because look, I was raised on the Zionist narrative. The Holocaust happened, the German killed us, we came here. Nobody tell you that we did some wrong to the Palestinian when you learn it at school.
Okay, yeah.
Only your parents, if they are lefty, like my parents, but in school you don't learn it.
Yeah.
And then you're like, you're with this, like, yeah. And of course, who's the big enemy? The worst enemy, the Germans, you know?
Right.
Like my mother, she passed, God bless her memory, she passed away 14 years ago, but she was, and I don't blame her, for her it would be very difficult, for example, to know that her, you know. But I think that I find myself here exactly to smash those prejudice, to smash those conservative concept of, you know, the Germans are like this, the Jews are like this. It's done, you know, and it's searching for something else.
Well, I think
something deeper and more interesting than belonging to where you come from. Having said that, like you, I love my country. I miss my country.
I love that.
And I live with it with that complexity in me.
Yeah, I think it's really lazy. You know, of course, people evolve, countries evolve, and so I think, you know, if people are still stuck in the past, I mean, guys, the only moment we have is right now, and of course, history can explain a lot of things that have happened, but I don't find Germans to be conservative at all. In fact, I find it the opposite. I feel like Germans are so fucking crazy and outgoing and wild since I've gotten here, and I've read a lot of posts on Reddit regarding life in Germany where people are just saying that northern Germans are closed and they're cold. But what's funny is we never talk about the approach that those people took to those people. Like, I feel like when I'm out in public or at a cafe or in a bakery or whatever here, I'm going in with an open spirit, so people are really open with me.
Yeah.
So I think
and they do an extra mile towards you.
And they really help me out. And honestly, you know, I don't speak German right now. I'm learning.
Yeah.
I'm very slowly learning. I'm French Canadian, so I think it'll be helpful in the long run. But yeah, we always talk about, oh, people are like this, people are like that. They treated me like this, they treated me like that. But there's never an emphasis on how did you approach those people? What was your approach that you took? And so for me, I'm always trying to enter my interactions in Hamburg with a very open heart. And honest to God, I mean, the past 3 months of my life have truly been magical.
Yeah, you know what? I felt the same. I felt the same when moving to Hamburg. Today I'm 9 years into it, so I'm like kind of,
congrats
you know, like, yeah. But you're being like, after 9 years being blasé, you've done, you know, it's like a relation or something. You like, and that's. But what you're speaking now about those, and I agree. Hamburg is a beautiful place with a Nordic, very leftist, border anarchist, kind of Anglo-Saxon in a funny way. Yeah, a lot of good things. It's a beautiful big city, but it's not huge. What else did you want to say?
How? Because you can tell when I put my mic up.
No.
I lived in Reykjavik in Iceland for a while.
Oh.
And that's a really interesting culture because the Icelandic people are also quite, I would say on the surface, they really are quite, just at a very first glance, quite cold. It's like, it sounds because from Iceland, but they really are kind of like not going to give you that initial warm validation that you need or that you're looking for. Whereas in America, you know, in Canada or America, we say, "Hey, how's it going?" "Ah, good. How are you doing?" There's that really nice feeling of rapport immediately, and you don't get that in places like Iceland. What's interesting is once you get past that first layer, they're definitely one of the most beautiful cultures ever, and my time in Reykjavik completely changed my life. But I feel a lot of that same energy happening here in Hamburg, where I'm meeting these people who are just so down to earth and so just so incredibly themselves and don't give a shit to try to glitter anything or trying to blow themselves up bigger than they have to. And you know, I feel like all the experiences I've lived in my life, of course, as cliche as it sounds, have taught me a lot about different cultures and different environments, and have, you know, brought interesting challenges to my life. But I will say that there is something particularly special about Hamburg so far, and I feel like this place is really underrated, at least from a Canadian perspective.
Yeah.
I mean, even in Canada, I told people I moved to Hamburg, and some people were saying, where in Switzerland is that?
Uh-huh.
So I think a lot of people don't know that this place exists, and I think Berlin is its own thing, and I've never been there actually. I'm going very soon, but I don't have much to compare Hamburg to other than Frankfurt or Munich, and I don't think we should compare cities, but my experience here is that there is just something a bit sparkly in its
Yeah.
undertones, and I think that
No, it's a well-known fact. It's a well-known fact. The Hamburg got its own flavor and totally. Let's speak about your appearance. Okay.
What do you want to know?
Well, when you approached me on Instagram, you saw me playing in the park in the city park in the 1st of January.
Actually,
and-
can I elaborate? Sorry to interrupt you. Can I elaborate on that story
Of course.
of how we met? So, for anyone at home, if you're wondering how I met Odette, it's a very funny story. I had just arrived in Hamburg on the 29th of December, and it was January 1st. It was the first day of 2023, and I was in Stadtpark on my bike, really excited to be in Germany. I was feeling pretty fly. I was excited. I had all this pent-up energy of finally making it here. I'm settling. I've made it to Europe. Here I am, this fucking dream that I had for so long. And then I'm hearing this sound, and it's this really cool electronic sound, but it's quite far away. So I follow the sound, and I'm slowly wheeling my bike in full spandex gear. And then I see this crowd of people right off the little body of water, the mini lake, and I see this artist who's doing this crazy sort of interpretive dancing / rhythmic percussion to these songs. And I thought, okay, this is really interesting. And then you did this one number where you stood in front of the audience and you moved your body in a certain way that was really glitchy and timed to this very specific electronic track. And I thought in that moment, I was like, holy shit, I feel like I'm home. It was that first feeling in Hamburg where I said, I've landed at the right place. There was something really wild and wacky about what you were doing. And there was something a bit unhinged about it, but really talented musically. And I was so transfixed. And so I had this weird universe moment where I thought, okay, I'm just destined to meet this guy. I feel it. So you had your Instagram board there. And so then I remember taking my bike, walking in front of you, seeing if you would notice me. I had my full gear on, so I looked just like a random cyclist. But when I found you on Instagram, I was so excited because I thought this is the perfect guy to meet, who can teach me a lot about the city and can get me involved in music. But that initial point, day one of the new year, was me feeling like, oh shit, I've found my new city. And it was that digital fusion that you did that made me feel so excited.
I'm so very proud to hear this.
Yeah, and so I think that was an example of like the universe giving me these signals or signs that I was in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
And since that day, I tell you, there's so many wild things that have happened, and I'm just so grateful.
Yeah.
But now I added you on Instagram and the visuals,
And then you contacted me.
I did.
And you were very complimentary. It was very nice. And then I checked your Instagram and said, "Oh, this guy is serious about appearance."
I love a good costume.
Yeah. You really nailed it. You're a visual artist, and you are even today. Look, Carter and me were like, "Wow, this guy is really
It's just a leather coat.
But you look, So
Thank you.
yeah, you look good, and
I
you
like to
look,
dress
look
up. I love
you
dressing
like to dress up, and if somebody want to visit Denique Instagram or mainly Instagram, he will see all kind of costume and all kind of mask and appearance and alter ego character that he created. And you had a wild ride with some companies who adopted you as a performing artist because you were so outstanding as a musician and visual. Tell us about it.
Yeah, if you guys want to see my work, not to plug it, here we go with the North American plug. It's at Deniqueology, so that's DENIQUEOLOGY, Deniqueology. If you guys are curious. Yeah, I basically, so look, my trajectory, to be very quick, is that in my early 20s, I really wanted to make music and to create this digital electronic music world where I would be wearing these particular costumes in a video, and I just wanted to make music videos and wanted to express myself in some kind of way. Started filming these videos alone with my friends on a shitty DSLR camera. Total crap quality, no budget, but I taught myself how to video edit. And at this point in my early stages, I wasn't making costumes, but I was just wearing, maybe something that my mom had from the 80s, or I was tailoring some random outfit that I found at a vintage clothing store or something. But as it progressed, I realized that I think for a long time, in my earlier days, for a long time, I always thought it was so important for me for my identity to be like this musician. Like musician, that was everything. It was music. But then I realized as I aged that like you can actually do more than just that if you want to, and that I realized, at my skills as a musician, it's like I'm not a professional musician per se, but I think I'm a professional visual artist and like audiovisual artist because I just like to dabble into all these different things. And so, yeah, I basically just saw all these artists that I looked up to wearing all these particular presentations, and the things they would wear, the garments looked so expensive and interesting, and that's just what caught my eye. And so I think in 2017, I just bought myself an industrial sewing machine in Montreal, went onto some YouTube tutorials. I had one sewing sort of apprenticeship day with this Yves Jean Lacasse from Montreal. Shout out if you ever see this. He was amazing, and he allowed me to come to his fashion studio just to see how he designs costumes. And from that moment that I put on my first costume, it was this black, I called it Dark Cloud. It was like this black sort of dress thing with these wavy, cloudy shoulders, and I had a black lipstick and black tights, big black platform shoes. And I remember looking into the mirror and saying, okay, that's it. That feels right. Whatever the fuck my fantasies were before was just the training wheels to what that was. Mm-hmm. But I never felt more alive and more like I'd found this fantasy character. And then as it progressed, it got me into playing this one show with this character in Montreal. This was April 2018. After that, it was just insane, the amount of just opportunities that just came flying at me. Because I am this 6 foot tall, fucking pale, blonde kid playing the violin and singing with this black ensemble, doing something kind of weird and fucky. And that single performance led to just Pandora's Box opening. Wow. And it led me to places like RuPaul's Drag Con in Los Angeles, and then I was doing World Pride New York, and I was in Hong Kong twice, and it was really taking like growing legs of its own, which was really, really cool. Mm-hmm. And then I realized how important it was to continue this discovery of this character that I was following in my head. And it really developed over time. And I think there's just something exciting about being in character. It's like when we play video games, if you're playing Mario Kart, that part where it's like, choose your character. Yeah. And then, you got like the Princess Peach and Mario, and you could be Kirby or Yoshi or Link or whoever, all these different characters. I think this might sound a bit like too in depth for video games, but when you choose your character in a video game, you actually are spiritually relating to this character in some kind of way. And so you just get a little thrill. Like, why do you choose Donkey Kong over Waluigi? Well, there's something about Donkey Kong's energy that you resonate with. And so for me, I kind of wanted to create my own sort of Nintendo character in my music world that like I felt like that's the character I would choose if he was in a video game. And honestly, now that my music continues, I feel like I'm actually just like trying to be a video game character.
Okay.
Like that's where I think my music's going, is like I think the music videos, the music, the costumes I'm gravitating towards. It's just like I'm realizing it's just a big video game that you can't actually play, but you can listen and watch it. It's like live action video game, but there's no goal.
That's very nice.
There's no winner. It's just like you're it's like that childhood joy of just, getting that new console for Christmas.
Yeah.
I was lucky once I got a GameCube from my mom, and that changed my life because it was this, this box that brought me so much joy and fantasy and imagination. And so, so the costume side of my work was really just that, allowing myself to just get to my 2.0 self. Like I'm pajama-rama 90% of my days, but then what you see online from me is obviously a very curated fantasy character of my life. It's not really my life.
So tell us about the few things you gain attention through the media and through the artistic branché world in Canada before you left. And
Yes.
you got the RuPaul people supporting you, inviting you.
Mm-hmm.
You got a media attention. You landed. You got support from the government
Mm-hmm.
to create an
Yeah.
album and a visual album parallel, which with a very serious financial support that you are completing these days to present this work. And but then you took yourself out of the game
Yes.
and you went to England. Or before that you went to Iceland.
I went to England after. We shot half of the audiovisual album in Iceland, but then I jet off to England after that.
Mm.
And looking back, I really don't know why the whole English opportunity happened, other than I always told myself I wanted to live in the UK before I turned 30. And with the visa system in Canada, you could only do it once. And it was July 2021. I was in the thick of it, making the costumes for the film. I'm working my second album. It's an album and a film. All the songs for the album will be in the film. And we
this song is part of this album, Finally Free.
Finally Free is not.
It's from the first album.
It's actually a single in between.
Okay.
It's the bridge between Shape 1, my first album, and Shape 2, the
Nice.
second album.
Yes.
So Shape 2's been a lot of fun. But essentially, when I made the decision to move to England, it was because I just felt this need to fulfill this bucket list item that I had, while also taking the project to Europe. I know that the UK doesn't identify as European right now,
not
but
anymore.
we're not going to go into that. But I would say that was my goal, is to take it overseas and to take Shape 2 there and finish the project there. What really happened in the UK was that I had just finished a month straight shooting in Canada. Then we shot for a month in Iceland in the coldest weather you can imagine.
How cold?
-20 with a
Oh my
wind
God.
chill, and I was in a little black bodysuit cycling on
Fuck.
the Icelandic highway with ice. It was really a wild time, and when this project drops, I think people will see the icy nature of it. But I was just coming out of 2 months of really intense pouring my heart and soul into this work, and then I got to England with this like kind of naive expectation that okay, just resume life. Everything's gonna work out. It's great.
But nothing
Two
worked out.
Well, 2 months into it, I thought, okay, yeah, it's good. We're ready. And like looking back, I was so burnt out. I was so
Like
burnt
England.
out.
England is also a little bit burnt out
Well,
in a way.
Here's what I'll say. My particular life, I was living in Brighton, so I was south of London, and the friends that I made in Brighton were so lovely and so welcoming. But collectively, the energy in the UK was quite grim these days. I also lived in the UK during post-COVID, post-Brexit, post-Queen dying, post-Prime Ministers, plural. And all of this had an obvious effect
Of course.
on what was happening there. Numerous train strikes, which fucked me over sometimes. The energy was just not giving me. I can't blame it on external things, right? It's really me at the end of the day. But
No,
it didn't.
it's
It
not.
certainly didn't make me feel like waking up every morning and saying, "Ha! I can't wait to finish this project." And so, unplanned, but sort of how the cards fell is I just took a year off. I really needed just to really fuck off and just to go to the beach and go cycling and really just not do anything, because I feel like in my early 20s, from about 20 to 28, no 20 to 29 actually, I had been hustling so hard for so long, and it was like, go here, this country, this show, this thing, go here, go there, blah, blah. And it's what I thought I really wanted. And then I got to the UK and realized, like, wow, I need to take some time to just digest what just happened. And there was definite moments last year where I actually started not believing in myself, because I'd been out of the game for a while. And then also the year previously, I had been working on the project. But this body of work I'm so excited about, because I really wanted to prove to myself that I could put together this entire universe that people can really escape to, where it's not just an album, but it's an album and a film, and there's characters in the film.
Very ambitious.
And that people can connect to these characters, and that the different, in the film there's 10 different worlds. So it's like 10 different music videos representing the 10 different songs.
Yeah.
And there's a storyline weaving through it. But I wanted people to feel like each world brought them to a different place, and then just to see like how people allow their imaginations to expand. And so I think a lot of what I did in the UK, which could sound like excuses that I haven't finished the project, but it really is me giving my brain the time to just think of like, okay, how am I going to go into the edit and go into these final touches of the project and really tweak it so that it brings magic to me. And I think, honestly, if you don't feel magic inside, you can't create magic.
Sure.
Like, you cannot create magic unless you're feeling magical.
This is very deep. I agree with you.
And it's like, and so there's like so many people who will talk about productivity, saying you just need that discipline. You need to just go and do it every day, and then you'll become a pro. If that works for you, great. That doesn't work for me. It's like if I'm writing about my relationship to my father, or if I'm writing about the fucked up feelings of being a single adult in a foreign country, it's like if I'm not in that headspace, if I'm in a headspace of wanting to go out with friends and have a milkshake and have a little sip some tea and I'm feeling good, I don't want to go to that place. That feels horrible. But of course, when I'm down in that place, or I'm in that particular headspace to write whatever it is I'm doing, if I'm in the magic of that environment, then I can create that thing. So maybe that's why I'm not on the radio, because I just can't keep up with that demand. Because for me, it's like if I'm going to speak about truth and magic, I have to be in that position, and I have to be in that place to talk about that place. Like, I can't just turn on feeling of sadness or whatever. It's like it's a magical
you
moment.
Are not ready to. I'm totally could totally empathize and sympathize with. You are not ready to monetize or to validate the muse, artistic. You are not ready to say, okay, now the muse will come. Now I'm gonna work 10, 12 hours as an artist, and by that I will define myself as an artist. You are still very much in awe to the spirit of the moment, to the inspiration, to magic that happens.
For sure. I think and I also think there's a lot of fear that comes with that too, because
it's uncontrollable.
Yeah, it's
nobody tell you when you will write the next song.
And this is why I feel like I related to you, because I feel like our energies in that way are very similar, that we're both, I think, highly driven, very hyperactive, as you guys can probably tell, very kind of all over the place with our ideas.
Sure.
But it's like from that, that electricity comes these moments and these magic pieces. And so for me, it's I really wish I had the work ethic of someone who could just turn out projects day in and day out and walk home and everything's fine and, exporting daily. But it's just not how I work. The way I work is I just have to experience that feeling and that wave and to finish it. And it's like, if my shit comes out in 5 years, it comes out in 5 years. I told an article in Canada that my album was going to come out. The article said the album was supposed to come out this past year in November. Well, guess what? It hasn't. And that's okay.
That was then funny. There was it's funny you mentioned the number 5 and 5 years, because
Tell me.
I want us to wrap up this interview. I want us to
To rap?
wrap. How do you say to wrap?
I'm not gonna rap for you guys.
No,
I can't
rap.
rap.
Wrap
Wrap it up.
wrap it up,
Mm-hmm.
like to
Yes, wrap it up.
wrap it up.
You could rap for us if you wanted to.
Yeah. And as an ending, not because I could sit here and speak with you for hours, but towards the end, 5 years from now, where do you see
Yes.
yourself? Where would you like to be?
5 years from now, I want to be still living in Germany.
Mm.
I want to have been having fun with the second album, touring a couple shows. I don't like to do a lot of shows.
No?
I like 1 or 2 shows a year.
Oh wow.
I just like to do a couple big shows once in a while because I can really commit
That's
to that
very
show. and
modest.
that
So you are
vision.
not greedy about. Sorry. So you're not greedy about. This is an effect that we can speak like this.
I can hear the facts. Talk.
Oh. Anyway,
I
it's
love that.
part of my
I love
electronic.
that. We should have done the whole interview like
Yeah.
that. I've been come from Canada.
So you're not greedy about big success. Like, yeah, I wanna bigger and bigger theater and more Spotify and more money, and that's not your.
Fuck Spotify. Honestly, I don't care about streams and all that shit. That's such a boring metric. If you're
Mm.
following just your plays, because I mean, people are like, oh, I have this many streams. It's like, okay, you have 100,000 streams. Was that 100,000 people connecting to your music, or was that 100,000 people cooking in their kitchen? You're just in the background.
Yeah, nobody knows.
I don't give a shit. For me, I don't care about all that metrics and bullshit. But what I do care about is that especially my upcoming album, visual album Shape 2, I hope it's going to have the reach to be able to reach people so that the right people find it and resonate with it. So do I care about the big success? I mean, I want to play Fashion Week Paris, and I want to open shows for some really cool artists that I love. And in 5 years, I hope to be releasing my third album, Shape 3. I don't
Yeah.
even, that's definitely not started, but that's a
Yeah.
vision. In 5 years, I hope to have Shape 3 out.
Yeah.
And I just ultimately want to be in a stable enough position in Germany, which I feel like I'm headed there now, to be able to create the best work that I can, to have the maximum reach possible, to reach the alternative niche market that needs to reach. How I'm going to get there, I do not know. But maybe 5 years from now, people will listen to this conversation right now and say, wow, he got there.
It sounds to me like a very healthy, one of the most healthiest attitude I ever heard from an artist. The way you.
Oh, weird. Thank you. But the thing is, people always ask me, what's your big dream? What is it going to work out? How are things going with music? The truth is, and this is us doing it right now. We are literally in this space. Carter's here as well. We're all doing it. We are actively living our dream right now. This is literally, I'm living my dream right now, talking about my work, performing in front of random strangers on Facebook that I literally don't know anyone. This right here, I'm living my dream. So whether I'm here or I'm at the O2 in London, to me, I'm literally living my dream right here. So yes, the big shows are fun, and there's some glitter there that can be quite enticing and can encourage you to want to do more of that. But the thing is, I realized in my young 20s is I was just chasing this rapid running horse or bull. I was trying to get on the bull of this mainstream success of like what that looks like, and that now I'm realizing for me, like ultimately, just being healthy and keeping my body fit and cycling and keeping myself surrounded by people who I love and who support me and that I support and love them, and just creating work that I think is really top shit and is just so crazy and allows my fantasies to come to life in ways and pushing my vision in the craziest ways to see like, okay, what haven't I done? What hasn't been done? And how can I push that? I don't believe everything's been done in the world. That's a lie. Not everything's been done, because you and I were different people with different voices and different experiences and different things to say. So not everything's been done. And I just want to continue pushing myself into the direction that my intuition guides me to unlock the next level of this video game character.
Okay, so
Whatever the hell that means.
Denique, we are very thankful.
Thank you. That was fun.
Carter, I wanna thank you personally for taking
Carter,
care
thank
of
you
this
so much.
broadcast and playing with us.
In the end, the audio came out great.
Great,
He was high, and then we.
Okay.
great.
Love this.
And my wish is that we will continue to collaborate because
100% will happen.
I see a great future coming.
You are so
front of
talented,
us.
and I think that you are incredible at what you do. So
Thank you.
inspiring to me, especially as someone who I'm working on my live show. It's very inspiring to see what you do because I just think it's incredible.
No, I think we're complementary and that it's definitely worthwhile to give it a go. And I see it, and your music touches me. And yeah, everybody. So that was Denique. He's gonna sing us.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you
last
so
song,
much for listening.
Yeah, tell
This
us.
is called Electrical Wires. This is usually my show opener. Was my show opener in the past. It's very digital, and I just wrote it from the perspective of being inside a computer.
Let's go. I think that I'm gonna open your reverb.
Yeah, 1 sec.
Let's see if your reverb is open, just to be sure.
All right, let's do it.
No, it
Oh,
didn't.
haven't
so
sung this one in a while.
now your reverb is open.
Everyone
and
back
here
home.
come the playback.
Ha! Is that your one? Reverb's good. Bluetooth, pair it up. Cell phone interrupt. Cyber 6 always rough. All these things I've had enough. But without these things, I lose my mind, yeah. Create the illusion that I'm on cloud nine. Seems like my brain is made of electrical wires. Technology all the time. Acoustic sounds no longer exist. Whoa, whoa. Digital sound was just a twist. Why am I floating in cyberspace? Whoa, this is the reality I must face. Videos, viral hits, blog posts, angry fans, the internet, they love it, yes. Conversations I forget, deleted them all, I regret. Without these things, I lose my mind, yeah. Create the illusion that I'm on cloud nine. Seems like my brain is made of electrical wires. Technology all the time. Touch me, I am blind. Touch screen in my mind. Tough dreams to align. Tuck me in, I'll be fine. Touch me, I am blind. Touch screen in my mind. Tough dreams to align. Tuck me in, I'll be fine. Copy me, but don't waste my time. Without these things, I lose my mind. Create the illusion that I'm on cloud nine. Seems like my brain is made of electrical wires. Technology all the time. Acoustic sounds no longer exist. Acoustic sounds no longer exist. Oh, my Till sound was just a twist. That's it. Thank you guys for streaming. Enjoy your night.
Thank